Imagine this, a huge, brand new building going up, right there on a major street in South Dallas. Think shops, apartments, maybe offices, community space. Now picture this whole thing being paid for, not just by, local money, but by investments from all over the world. And these investments are tied to a U.S. program that offers green cards in return. So what actually happens when that kind of global money lands right in the middle of a specific neighborhood? We're going to unpack the sources around the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Program, and we'll look at it through a real-world example, the Winners EB-5 program, and their big project, the Winners Tower at MLK in South Dallas. Our goal here is to really explore the question, what are the pros and cons? I mean, the real socioeconomic impacts, good and bad, of this foreign money, and new residents coming into South Dallas. We want to get a handle on the opportunities, sure, but also the complexities, because it's definitely complex. And to give you the full picture, we've gathered a few different kinds of sources for this deep dive. We've got the official stuff government documents from USCIS, the immigration agency, and the Congressional Research Service. They lay out the rules and some of the historical issues. But then we're grounding that policy. We're looking right at the project's own website, Winners Tower, to see how they talk about their vision and what they plan for the community. Mixing these helps us and you see how the policy actually plays out, on the ground.
Okay, so let's unpack this. A lot of you listening probably know about EB-5 already, but just for a quick refresher maybe, what is this program? Why was it even set up in the first place?
Right. Well, at its heart, the EB-5 visa, as USCIS describes it, it's this really interesting mix of immigration policy and economic strategy. The main purpose is pretty straightforward, boost the U.S. economy. And it does that by getting foreign investors to put significant money into American businesses. The basic deal is, invest in a U.S. company that creates jobs, and in return, you and your immediate family can get permanent residency, a green card. It's designed as a direct path, really, to bring in both foreign money and potentially talent.
Okay, so it's about investment and green cards. What kind of investment are we talking about? Is it just any amount?
No, it's pretty substantial. Typically, an investor needs to put in $1.05 million. But here's a really key part, especially for places like South Dallas. There's this thing called a targeted employment area, or TEA. If the investment goes into a TA, that minimum investment drops quite a bit, down to $800,000.
And these TEAs, they're specific kinds of areas.
Exactly. They aren't just random spots. They're usually defined as rural areas or places with significantly high unemployment. The whole idea is to channel that capital, that investment money, into areas that need it most, places looking for revitalization.
So that lower threshold is a big incentive.
A huge incentive. And maybe most importantly, it's not just about the cash. Every single investment has to prove it creates or preserves at least 10 full-time jobs for qualified U.S. workers.
10 jobs per investor.
10 full-time jobs. That job creation part is absolutely fundamental. It's central to the program's whole economic development rationale. It's justification, really.
That job requirement, especially targeting areas that need them. Yeah, that seems like the real engine behind EB-5. But to actually make that happen, to get the money and the jobs managed effectively at a place like South Dallas, there's usually another player involved, right? These regional centers, what do they do?
Yeah, regional centers are often crucial to how this works in practice, especially for bigger projects. They're basically organizations approved by USCIS specifically to handle EB-5 investments. Think of them as like facilitators or intermediaries.
Okay.
They often pull money together from lots of different EB-5 investors. This allows them to fund much larger, more complex developments, things maybe too big for one investor alone.
Right. Pooling the funds.
Exactly. So they connect the foreign investors who want the green card with projects that meet all the EB-5 rules, the investment amount, the job creation, everything. And on the flip side, they offer project developers a way to get significant funding, although, it comes with its own set of complexities.
They bridge the gap.
They bridge the gap. It makes the whole process potentially easier for investors, and it directs that pooled capital into specific developments. For something like Winners Tower, the regional center is likely the vehicle bringing that global investment right to MLK Boulevard.
Okay, so we've got the policy, the investment levels, the job requirements, the role of regional centers. But the real interest, I think, is seeing how this all comes together in a real place. So let's zoom in on the Winners Tower project at MLK in South Dallas. It's a concrete example. What's the vision there? What are they aiming to do?
Yeah, Winners Tower is a really interesting case study. And its location is key. It's planned for MLK Boulevard in South Dallas, which immediately tells you it's aiming to be part of the revitalization story in that area, an area that's seen, decades of disinvestment.
Right on MLK, that's significant.
Very significant. And the vision they present on their website is, well, ambitious.
Yeah.
It's not just another office building. They talk about a mixed-use complex, a potential new landmark. Plans mention, I believe, a 25-story tower.
Wow, 25 stories.
Yeah, and inside, not just offices, residential units, a hotel, retail spaces designed to bring in new shops and services, maybe even things like an innovation center or community workspace.
So much more than just a building. It's meant to be a hub.
Exactly. The idea seems to be creating a new economic and social center point. And what's really worth noting, if you dig into their specific community page online, is how they frame their commitment to the local area. They talk about supporting local entrepreneurs, giving residents access to new amenities, being a catalyst for wider economic growth.
How specific do they get?
Well, they often mention things like potential job training programs or prioritizing local businesses for supplies during construction, trying to show they're integrating this huge project into the existing South Dallas community. It's definitely presented as more than just a real estate deal. It's positioned as a community building effort.
That certainly sounds like it could be transformative. Let's focus on the positives first then. What are the clear benefits, the intended socioeconomic pluses, that a program like EB5, working through a project like Winners Tower, is supposed to deliver for a community like South Dallas? It could really be a shot in the arm, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The most obvious direct benefit is just the sheer amount of capital coming in. We're talking foreign investment dollars flowing directly into the South Dallas economy. For huge projects like a 25-story tower, this kind of funding can be a total game changer. These projects often struggle to get traditional bank loans, especially in areas banks might see as, higher risk historically.
Right, so it fills a financing gap.
It can fill a massive financing gap. It means ambitious urban renewal projects can actually happen when they might not otherwise. It's a different kind of money source.
And then there are the jobs, that core requirement.
Yes, the jobs. Remember, 10 jobs per investor. For a project the scale of Winners Tower, with all its different parts, hotel, retail, residential, that adds up to a lot of potential jobs. You've got the immediate construction jobs, hundreds probably. Engineers, architects, construction workers, skilled trades.
Big impact during the build phase.
Definitely. But then once it's built and running, you've got the long-term operational jobs, people working in the hotel, the shops, managing the apartments, staffing any community facilities. This directly creates employment within the community, offering new opportunities potentially for local folks. That's a huge intended positive.
Beyond the direct jobs and the initial investment.
Well, the hope is that bringing this kind of major investment into a targeted employment area, which South Dallas likely is, can spark wider economic growth. Like you mentioned, their community page talks about positive local impact. Maybe it leads to better infrastructure nearby. Maybe property values go up in a way that benefits existing homeowners too. Maybe it attracts other businesses to the area.
A ripple effect.
That's the idea. This kind of large-scale urban development can bring modern amenities, maybe improve living standards, and just inject new energy into an area like MLK Boulevard, turning a potentially overlooked corridor into something more vibrant and economically active. That's the promise.
Okay, that's a compelling picture of the potential upside. Huge investment, job creation, revitalization. But let's be real. Programs this big, projects this ambitious, they almost always come with complexities, criticisms, potential downsides. What does the Congressional Research Service report, for instance? Tell us about the challenges or criticisms of the EB5 program more broadly, and how might those apply here in South Dallas?
Yeah.
It's probably not all sunshine and roses.
No, it rarely is. And the CRS reports, which often analyze federal programs, consistently raise some important questions about EB5. One big area of scrutiny is always the job creation part, the methodology.
How the jobs are counted.
Exactly. The rule says 10 jobs per investor, but the question becomes, are these always direct, permanent jobs going to local people who really need them, people from that community? Or does the count sometimes include indirect jobs, maybe jobs created further up the supply chain? Or induced jobs like jobs created when construction workers spend their paychecks locally?
Which are still jobs, but maybe not what people picture.
Right. There's still economic activity, but it'd be harder to say they are directly lifting that specific community out of unemployment in the way a direct hire does. How do you bring in needed investment and revitalization without destroying the community that was already there? It's a constant tension.
And one more thing that often comes up. Who really benefits most?
Right, the disparity of benefits question. Are the economic gains, new amenities, the increased activity, are they spread broadly and fairly across the whole community? Or do they end up mostly benefiting the investors getting their green cards, the developers making profits, and maybe a new, more affluent population moving in?
Leaving the original residents behind.
Potentially leaving the existing, maybe more vulnerable populations behind. It's a critical question. Does this development truly lift everyone up, or does it create winners and losers within the same neighborhood? These are all really vital things for any community grappling with this kind of program to consider.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the takeaway for South Dallas? Or for any community looking at EB-5 funded projects? It feels like this powerful engine, but one that needs very careful steering.